Scott had started to have early morning headaches accompanied with vomiting for about 3 months, December, January, and then into early February. Those were alarming.
It was the same pattern every morning. Not every morning initially, but it did near the end. And one Saturday morning, she woke up and she had a really bad headache.
Surprisingly, actually, she had pain in her elbows and joints, and so we were testing her for rheumatoid arthritis at first.
Well, when we first found out, when we went through emergency with Melissa, that she had a brain tumor, we were in a state of emotional shock, disbelief as what was happening.
There was no time to be more or less upset. It was going so fast. The next day she was ordered to be on the operations table.
They told me that I had been diagnosed with a brain tumor, that it was benign, but it was constantly growing.
I think it's very necessary for the community to get involved in this type of an organization. Out in the community and out in the world, a lot of people don't know that brain tumors in children exist. And it is the second leading cause of cancer in children. So many people hear about leukemia. And so by having people involved with b.r.a.i.n.child, just people involved outside of the hospital, increases the awareness about these brain tumors and the children and what they go through. And having the community involved assists definitely with research funding and taking part in fundraisers so that we can get the needed research dollars to help out these children and families.
Over the past 7 years, b.r.a.i.n.child has raised more than $400,000 for research into childhood brain tumors. Through community and corporately sponsored events, such as dinners, fairs, and barbecues, b.r.a.i.n.child not only continues to raise research dollars, but also a greater awareness of this illness, as well as a sense of community for families and friends affected by it. In January of 1999, the Arthur and Sonia Labatt Brain Tumor Research Center was officially opened at the Hospital for Sick Children. As director of the institute, neurosurgeon Dr. James Rutka knows that research is vital in helping more than 100 children diagnosed with brain tumors at the hospital every year.
It is a disease in which the prognosis has not changed dramatically in the last 20 years. We need help to combat this disease, and that's what the research center is for.
One of the last things on the minds of the primary care physicians is a brain tumor. So that's why it frequently is difficult to make the diagnosis and why the diagnosis may be delayed.
Funding from b.r.a.i.n.child has allowed us to buy some very key pieces of equipment for this lab. Without these pieces of equipment, our daily lab work could be very difficult and time-consuming. Individual family donations have allowed us to buy a refrigerated water bath, a stereotactic head frame, and a tissue homogenizer. These are very important pieces of equipment. Actual b.r.a.i.n.child funding has bought us a refrigerated centrifuge, an ultra-low freezer, and the life bank. A digital camera for our fluorescence microscope, and a thermal cycler. My first wish would have to be that all the hard work that we've put into this lab eventually comes to terms for a treatment. My second wish would have to be that we continue to have the resources and personnel until my first wish comes true. And my third wish is that anybody who's been touched by this horrible disease can have a place like b.r.a.i.n.child to go to and get information and support, and that eventually everybody can come together and we can have a treatment.
I would hope and I would envision that in the next 5 years we will see novel therapies come from the laboratory that we've been able to pioneer ourselves and translate that information from the laboratory directly to the patient so that those patients can receive the benefit of this sophisticated research that we are now doing at the bench.
How do you measure the life of a child? When a child dies, their life is measured by the people whose lives they have touched and by the accomplishments of those who are left behind to carry on. Think about the legacy of children whose lives have been cut short by brain tumors. That b.r.a.i.n.child began several years ago is a tribute to several children. The continuance of b.r.a.i.n.child is a tribute to many children. b.r.a.i.n.child has many people who work hard towards the realization of our goals. These are families whose day-to-day lives have been tragically altered by the loss of a child, or who live with the constant fear of recurrence, or growth of a tumor that cannot be destroyed with current medical technology. Take a moment to stop and reflect on how your life is measured. Are you measuring it by time or by accomplishments? Look around at those who spend so much of their time helping others and take a moment to recognize them or emulate them.